Hey Guild Wars 2 fans, it's Taugrim. I'm going to talk about Dagger Elementalist after the Feb 26 patch. There were a couple notable nerfs. One of them was to ride the lightning to increase the cooldown from 15 to 20 seconds. I think, when you look at the other classes, this is pretty fair since Dagger Elementalist mobility was incredibly high, and it means for kiting that we're more dependent on abilities such as Water 3 and 4, Fire 3, Earth 3 and 4, and Air 3 and 5 to maintain separation. Our boons also took a bit of a hit. The Soothing Disruption trait gives you regeneration and vigor when you use a cantrip, and the base duration was reduced from 10 seconds down to 6 seconds. And for the Zephyr's boon trait, for Shocking Aura, which is the Air 3 aura, the duration of the Fury and Swiftness was fixed, so that instead of giving 10 seconds of those boons, you only get 5 seconds. Now, you can offset these nerfs by stacking boon duration. I run with 90%, and you get this from 3 sources. You can stack 3 separate rune set bonuses to get 40% from your runes, another 30% from Arcana, from the straight line, and I'm using the Phoenix's tanky DPS Dagger Elementalist spec, and another 20% of boon duration from Chocolate Omnomberry Cream. So it gives you a total of 90% or almost double the base boon duration. It's really nice, especially for stacking might and keeping some of your nicer boons up longer. So, given that Ride the Lightning is taking a bit of a nerf, it means we're much more dependent on using other abilities to kite. So right here, shift to Water 3, and you can see I got the Water 3 effect on that Thief, and that's a pretty heavy chill effect for 3 seconds. It's a 70% snare. It's great for creating some separation. And right there, you can see that I dodge rolled in Earth inside of the Fire for Ring of Fire to get might. People pointed out from my previous video I didn't do that. And right there, you see that little 495 number on the Dagger Thief. That was Water 3 being used again. It's a pretty short 15-second cooldown. It's really good when trying to get away from melee. I'll also rotate through the Earth Attunement when I'm kiting people. If I can, I'll use Earth 3 to apply ranged Immobilize, or Earth 4 if they're right on top of me. But even if they're too far away to do that, even if they're just hitting you from range, rotating through Earth will give you that protection boon, which is that 33% mitigation, which is great to have. And then once I've kited far enough, this Elementalist hadn't been kind of watching his health. Probably should have cycled through water or burned his healing ability. He didn't. Use Earth 3 to close the gap there, Earth 4 for the knockdown. And by this time his health's pretty low, so this allied thief and I finish him off. As far as the cantrips go, for my 3rd cantrip, I do take Armor of Earth. I prefer having that option of stability and protection over the condition removal for Cleansing Flame. And right here I get stuck in a tough situation. I'm getting chain immobilized, so I'm rooted, I can't do anything. I managed to blink out since that's my 1 cantrip that's available, and then as soon as the root's off, I dodge roll for 1 Cleansing Wave proc from Evasive Arcana and Water, and then I use Water 5 for the 2nd heal, and by this time Ride the Lightning's up so I can use Air 4 to create some meaningful separation. Now, a lot of these tools I've talked about in the video, these abilities are also great for preventing opponents from kiting you. So right here, this Mesmer fought him a few times 1v1. You'll notice as soon as I closed the gap with Ride the Lightning, he dodge rolled immediately, so I waited a half second before popping Air 5, that's Updraft, for the blowout effect, and then I used Earth 3 there to immobilize him, and then port over with Lightning Flash to make sure that Turning Earth hits him. And now that he's got these dots ticking on him, it's really easy to mark him wherever he goes, and I go ahead and drop him. Just waiting here until he uses Down State 2 ability, and now that I can see him again, he's got that big red inverted arrow, and so I know where he is. This footage is all taken from this past weekend. I was playing around. This is Tier 1 WvW. There's a lot of skirmishing and roaming, and there's certainly a lot of zerging, but there's a lot of smaller scale fights too. So this is me and 2 other allied players fighting against some folks from Pain Train Chu. And what's really nice with all these cantrips and mobility abilities we have, the Elementalist still has really good mobility. And I like the way that ArenaNet approached the Feb 26 nerfs for Elementalist. I thought the nerfs were pretty reasonable. There were some buffs given, but for Dagger it was a net nerf. But they were doing so very carefully, not trying to tweak too many things at once. I like, it's just a handful of nerfs. They were in areas where they probably should be. So we'll see what changes ArenaNet has in store for the class in the future, but you know, hopefully they'll continue doing this kind of refined tweaking of classes and specs to bring things into balance. You know, in the meanwhile, Dagger still is a very, very good spec for Elementalist. You know, you got to get used to the frequent attunement swaps and knowing when to use your abilities, but it is a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please feel free, if you are a Dagger Elementalist, to give me feedback on my gameplay. And for those of you who do or don't play Elementalist, I'd be very curious to hear what your thoughts are from the overall class balance changes and fixes that were made with the Feb 26 patch. Take care.